They say destiny favors the strong, but sometimes destiny favors those who think. For most of its early history, Qatar had more sun than soil, more sea than shelter, and more dreams than resources. It was a land that produced toughness, not abundance. When pearl trading collapsed, the Gulf's richest market vanished overnight. Villages that once echoed with bargaining and laughter fell into silence. Debt suffocated households, winter nights grew colder, and hope, once bright like the morning tide, began to dim. Many wondered how long a country could endure without something to trade, without something the world truly needed. But beneath that despair lived a quiet realization. The world did not yet understand value. The seas and soils had betrayed Qatar, yet the leaders refused to believe that the land beneath their feet had declared its final verdict. Foreign companies arrived with briefcases, contracts, and smiles polished by diplomacy. They promised capital, infrastructure, and quick relief. Poor nations often take the first offer. Qatar did not. Not because it was wealthy, but because it refused to stay poor. Negotiations stretched, conditions shifted, meetings dragged deep into the night. For outsiders, it felt like delay. For Qatar, it was strategy. Time became its weapon, patience its currency. And when the moment finally came, the country did not trade away its future for short-term comfort. It demanded ownership. Not just revenue, ownership. Not just participation, control. Then the drills pierced the sand. Oil surfaced first, not enough to command envy, but enough to spark possibility. It funded stability and laid the foundations of a state that could finally breathe without fear of collapse. People saw cars, schools, and new homes and believed the story was complete. But destiny is rarely that simple. Years later, seismic readings revealed a subterranean riddle off Qatar's northern coast, an underground vault of unimaginable scale. The North Field, a reservoir so vast that no textbook had prepared the world for its numbers. It had the power to heat nations, fuel continents, and rewrite global alliances. The world looked at Qatar not with pity now, but with calculation. Yet the true genius was not in finding gas. It was in deciding what to do with it. Most countries with resources raced to spend. Qatar raced to build. It built LNG infrastructure before LNG demand existed. It built ports before the contracts were signed. It trained citizens before the markets opened. It spent money on knowledge, influence, and diplomacy long before the world understood why. That was the hidden decision. Qatar refused to treat gas as wealth. It treated it as leverage, and leverage, properly used, transforms small nations into global players. That is how a peninsula dwarfed by its neighbors became essential to energy markets, indispensable to winter economies, and impossible to ignore on the world stage. It wasn't luck, it wasn't size. It wasn't noise, it was vision, quiet, precise, and almost invisible at the time. Qatar understood a truth most nations miss. Resources are temporary, but strategy is permanent. If stories like this open your eyes to the power of vision and long-term thinking, then don't just scroll away. Follow this channel, share the video, and subscribe. There are more stories the world has never been told. Stories that explain not just how nations rise, but how they decide to.